You know, when I was coming through my spiritual journey, and this is how me speaking of it in hindsight, I had no language, y'all, for when I was first starting out. And as I shared with y'all in the previous video about, I was in a 13-year cycle. And you know what, astrologically, some astrologers were saying that I'm under the astrological sign of Pisces, and I do mess with astrology and things like that. So I was supposed to be in an astrological wise like 13 years. Didn't even know that, right? And I believe I shared with y'all in a couple of videos that opened up the door for that happening, right? For me to just go on this spiritual journey or whatever. And I'm telling y'all, when I started out, I had no language like for none of it. It all started to come, you know, later on. And just maybe within the past couple of years, I started calling it for myself, like, you know, when you know of things without knowing how you know, I call it the knowing. And I found out that other people that have experienced similar awakenings, spiritual awakenings and journeys, whatever, they call it the knowing as well, or Gnosis, right? And I want to say this: what I have learned on this path, because it's all a path back to yourself, to your true self, that it all begins with accountability. We can call it personal development, we can call it what we want, right? But it all begins with the self. And if we really want to see this society go forward and to move forward in a healthy way, holistically, it has to begin with the self, right? Gnosis, the knowing, all begins with the self. The throne that we think that we are ascending is really a mirror. And that thing that we hate so much is the very thing that we need in order to advance, in order to grow as a society, in order to grow as a community. It always begins with the self. I wish that I could tell y'all that there were some books that I read along the way that opened me up to that. No, that's not what opened me up to that. I have always been a spiritual person. I used to practice Islam at one time. I don't practice anymore. And it led me back to spirituality. What predates religion. Religion is what people made. Spirituality is what comes from source, God, the all-knowing, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you perfectly available to believe in what you believe in, but spirituality predates, or proceeds religion. So yeah, it all starts with the self, all of it. We can't neglect that anymore.